Hi everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Sebas for giving me the chance to do this FF Have Your Say series. And my name is Gavin. I'm currently an FF artist in Malaysia. And there's a couple of questions to answer. So the first question is tell us the latest about yourself, what you have been up to, and are you working now as a FX artist or not? If not, what are you doing? Um, well, a little bit about myself is that I've been working in this industry for about 8 years, and currently I'm taking a break from the full-time work I'm doing for freelance for about a year. Meanwhile, and I'm doing some freelance work and also publish my showreel to see if I'm able to get a job in the film industry. Well, for the second question, um, let's showcase your Dragon Temple project with thinking particles and making off. Tell us how you create this from start to finish. For this project, actually, I was having my trips to Angkor Wat, and I just took a couple of random footage with my camera. So later on, when I decide to do something for my portfolio, I discussed with my friends what to do with the footage, and we ended up to have this ancient elements footage, the Angkor Wat temples as the place of the dragon lived, and there's some interaction of the dragons over there. Then we decide what happened over the places, which is a bad dragons that rule amongst the good one, and have one of them have one of the good one injured and spread fire just to do some of the effects elements to the clips. And yeah, that's the basic idea for the project. So this is the recordings that I did for the Dragon Temple since 1 year ago, I believe. Because the previous recording, the background noise was too noisy, so I decided just to do a voice over it. So normally before I do everything in for FX, I just set up the scenes properly, like groupings all the elements to be different layers, and also doing the background modeling, tracking, everything. And the animations was done by my friends that you can see here. Mainly for this project, I used thinking particles to create the debris systems of each impacts of the animations and the backgrounds, and also use as a source to generate the smoke steams and later on the fire breath dragons, which will be seen in latest video. The setting for the effects part is actually quite simple. It's nothing fancy here. So basically the things that I did are the debris and some of the sparks that come out with the fire, and also the source for the film effect simulations at the end of the boss dragon's fire breathing. For the debris within the scenes, it actually looks something like this. I have already cached the file, so I can just like simply view it by dragging the timeline. There's actually some minor debris that are going on, which I don't think is easy to see within the scenes. For example, the landing debris and the takeoff debris
which when the small dragon at the left side of the screens, where he go off from the scenes, there are some debris actually are going on here. So the setting for the debris, actually I separate them into a different group as well. I'm using a bullet solver here. So the first one that I set up is I make all the backgrounds. I have a group of the background collider which I created, and I turn them into particles just for the collisions, and set up the rigid body data by using this one, the setting here. So after that, the next one would be, this is all different type of different system of the debris. And so this is the burn impact. The burn impact one is actually the debris that are coming out from the ground when the injured dragon landed. I'm using a cube here to make the wheel faster. When I cache up the final debris, it will be instancing another more detailed small rocks model. So basically that I'm custom made one emitter near the place where the dragons are landed, and emit direct from there by using a positions bond. After that, I just set up the basics info that I need. For example, I random the size of the particles that I need based on the amount and their velocity that match the dragons when the dragons fall. The next one I'll be talking about is the fire breathing path at the end of the shot. So the animation looks something like this when the dragons are landed and the boss dragon fly into the scenes and make a roar. Then will breath fire towards the camera. So basically, what I did here is that I animated one of the locators, the null object that following the dragon's head where the fire come off, and this is the target where I animated based on the camera angle, which I controls the particles will come from this point to the points here. So the system actually is very simple as well. Should be these two. Alright, what I did here is that I set a time interval, like the fire particle source will come, will start by these frames and end by this frame, which is the end of the shot. So I created a source for them, and the source will point towards the target that I animated, which is this one. I have the target's positions to be fit into the velocity, so they will come they will travel towards the targets that I have already animated. So it will look something like this. And also I have emitted the tiny sparks that later on I render into a different passes from the source, which is what I did here is that I use the fire breathing source to be the emitter as for the sparks. Later on I have the spark to customize movement based on the camera. And here is one quick overview on the whole projects on different stages. And this is the part where I take the footage, I stabilize them, and do some trackings checked. And this is the sky replacement. the animations and versus the render versions. And this is the part where the dragon breathed. The fire, I personally think it doesn't look good enough yet. This is about 1 year ago or so on the fire here. There's another clips that I think is much more better that I did recently, which is this one. The destructions was done by using thinking particles. For this one as well, array DB system here and the destruction of the buildings are done in thinking particles.
And the third question is, are your dreams being realized in Malaysia? What are the pros and cons in terms of you getting to be a world-class effect artist? Well, I would say so far so good for my dreams. I do work on a couple of great projects, and there's always something that I try to do, which at the moment is to work on a film's effects project. And for the pros and cons, well, I didn't thought of that much actually. I just trying to make the shots that I do looks better, and if let's say there's a pro, I would say people likes my artwork and give positive feedbacks, and although there's some critics, take it and just treat it as a way to improve and be better.